Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One More Month, the podcast that will end when I graduate college, which happens to be in less than 7 days, less than a week. We are down to the final week of my college experience. Today, I have with me Summer Earl. Summer is a very good friend of mine. Hi.
Hi.
Would you like to tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Summer Earl. I hate saying my last name because it reminds me of Urkel and people make fun of me about it. But you want me to tell my job?
Yeah, what do you do?
I'm a social media specialist at the University of Alabama. So I help run their main social media accounts, essentially, and TikTok. So
Is TikTok not a social media account?
I always say and TikTok because I feel like that's how we introduce it at work. Because TikTok's new. So they're like, oh, our institutional accounts and TikTok.
Institutional accounts?
Because we do institutional and admissions.
Okay.
So it's like two different things. But I say main and admissions because main is like all the University of Alabama. Then admissions is like, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. You also graduated from the University of West Alabama.
I did.
How long ago?
Shoot, I didn't even think about. It's 2022. I graduated with my undergrad in 2020, and then my master's in the same exact thing in 2021. So, oh my gosh, it's only been a year.
Did you say what you I think you just said the same exact thing, but you didn't say what you graduated
Oh, I thought
with.
you said that Okay, never mind. I also have 2 degrees in IMC.
Yes.
1 bachelor's and 1 master's.
Yes.
So
you're pushing the 2-year mark now.
2 year of my
From
undergrad.
Yeah.
It's not even a year since my master's. That's insane.
I know, and you're already doing all
Ew.
this big girl job stuff.
Yeah,
Which
kind
is
of.
crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, Summer's a very good friend of mine. She's been through it, kind of like me and Nick, where we're all kind of very good friends. So I'm kind of staying in a small pocket of people that I'm having
all
on
know
the
each
show.
other.
Yeah, we all know each other. But yeah, how are you? What's up?
I'm good. We just took graduation photos, which
Oh.
is great timing.
True.
Or-
Here's one. If I remember to throw it up, here's
If
one
they're
graduation.
edited by then.
They probably
From
won't
me.
be. Here's
No, I could edit one. I'll pick
we'll
one.
have one picture ready.
And we'll put it right there.
But yeah, we just went around campus, took my graduation photos, which was really fun. You
It kinda was fun.
You are by far my favorite person to take pictures with.
It's because I'm the best.
Yes, and it's easier to be comfortable, I guess, around you. I feel like if I hired someone that like I did not know to come take them, and like maybe they're the best photographer, I just feel awkward around it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like people I don't know taking my picture. So, because it's just, you feel more comfortable. Well, I don't know. I think it's different when I take a lot of people's pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be the photographer, and they literally could not care less about what the other person's doing. So when people take my pictures, that's just how I think. But I prefer taking pictures of my friends because I can boss them around.
Yeah, I didn't have any kind of. I didn't have an end
Direction.
goal. Yeah, I didn't have any direction. I was just like, I want to take some pictures. I need to take pictures. My mom's gonna kill me if I don't take pictures. So I thought, why not? And also, my high school, like my senior graduation pictures for high school, I did them on a whim.
I forgot people did that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, I did them on a whim with like my cousin, and my aunt took them, and it was kind of just like, they were fine, they were cool, but like I didn't really have any direction or like idea what I wanted to do. And then my sister graduates 2 years later, and she has these like really great ones of her in like a field or whatever with like her volleyball shirt, all this cool
Because
stuff.
she's a girl.
Yeah. Well, she also went out of her way and hired somebody else, and I didn't even comprehend that. So this time coming around graduation, I was like, oh, I should probably. I gotta get better at this. I know every episode is like, welcome back to One More Month. Today we have this, and then I cut off over here because I don't keep my mic. I kind of yeah. I wanted to go with handheld mics for this because I felt like it made it more
Conversational.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have the whole. Here's a boom mic sitting, or like
about to say, yeah.
the mic stand sitting like this, and I feel like it's easier. Also, I move around a lot, so I don't want to just sit in one spot the entire episode and just talk. But yeah, we took my graduation photos. They're really great. Thank you very much, Summer.
Yeah, we haven't even seen them yet, but they're gonna be good.
We saw like 2.
Yeah. No,
If you don't edit them, I'm just gonna throw up the picture you took on my phone
Oh,
of
yeah.
the camera lens.
That one actually is cool. That one is cool. I think.
Oh, so we decided. I decided really.
Yeah, it was not me.
No, I decided that I wanted to do half of them with an actual digital camera and then half of them with a disposable because I like disposable photography, because Summer likes disposable photography, and it got me into it because spending $30 to have some retro looking photos that we could probably filter in Photoshop.
It's the same process of like, I became really obsessed with Polaroid
Mhm.
and started taking Polaroid, and then you started taking more Polaroids,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, I kept forgetting to buy Polaroid film, and I bought disposables, and then now we're both doing disposables. But Polaroid's just like, it's so much.
Easier and it's probably
It is cheaper because if I buy a pack of film for the same, it's like $15 for a camera. If I buy a pack of film for $15, I don't have to get the film developed. It just comes out of the
It's
camera.
also instant.
It is instant. I think the aspect of the dispo that I like is they can be digital.
Yes, if I could have a digital Polaroid, it'd be so much easier because I think we went and took pictures for Halloween, and I didn't get them back for
Until Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
right?
until
Or the week before?
It was like Thanksgiving break when we got our photos back because you have to send the
Yeah.
camera off to a what are they called?
Companies.
A company so they can. What is it called when you?
It's a lab. They send it off to like a photo lab.
What is
dark
it?
room.
A process? Not process. What's the word? What's the word for when you develop? To develop the
I was
film.
like,
I couldn't think of it. My vocabulary has been so off. I cannot think of words. Yesterday I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out the word deceitful.
Oh, yep.
Because I was wearing a jacket that looked normal from the front. The jacket, that street jacket I have, that's like really nice and normal in the front, and then it has like splatter all over the back of like graffiti and stuff.
Okay, interesting.
Yes, vocabulary is getting very bad. I'm.
Deceiving jacket is what you're.
It's deceiving because it looks like normal. Someone called it a mullet jacket because it looks business in the front and party in the back.
Interesting conversation.
I know. Right? Yeah, it was a very
Splatter
fun.
jacket.
Yeah, mullet jacket.
Mullet jacket.
Yeah, my mental. I'm running low on energy. This past
It's
week.
also the time of year.
True. Winter depression is really bad. It's really gross outside. We got lucky that today was nice, but the weather lately has been awful here.
And it's going to rain again. Oh, it almost rained today.
I'm pretty sure it's raining tonight.
Yeah. Weather
But-
talk.
Weather talk. But yeah, we got a week left. I'm doing really poorly.
In terms of mental health or just like grades?
Oh no,
I
I'm
was like,
done.
it sounded like you meant grades.
No, I'm actually done. I finished my last college assignment last night.
Slay.
It sucked. I was taking a marketing test at
Oh, ew.
11:45 and it was due at midnight.
Ew.
Passed it with 100, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they're easy, but they're just, ew. It's the process of
they're
having
open
to do
book.
them.
It's like I have the ability to just ace it, but it's so much effort.
Socratic. Not that I do that.
Yeah, no, that's hypothetical.
I'm not in school, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I open book the test.
Which it's
That
allowed.
doesn't make sense.
You
Even.
took the
Yeah.
test open book.
I opened the book to take the test. Yes.
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 Open book test.
Yes. So I believe you had something you wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I thought it would be fun if we reminisced
Yes.
on our friendship because I don't know if you mentioned how long we've been friends. We've been friends for a little over 2 years.
2 years now, but
Funnily enough, we became friends around this time. It was around Thanksgiving.
it was right
Which is technically
before.
Christmas,
it was on the very closing of your undergrad.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it was before your birthday, which is on Thanksgiving, or was on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
this
I'm
year.
22 now. By the way, my birthday was last week.
Which you filmed? Oh, you filmed with Nick before your birthday.
I filmed with Nick. The last episode was sat vacant for a week because I couldn't edit it because I wasn't home. And then when I got back to Livingston, I had everything to do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
but yeah, we are pushing. I guess we're around 2 years now when we actually started
Yeah.
hanging out.
It's a little over 2 years by a few weeks.
Mhm.
But I said this earlier, so it's not really as funny. But I feel like we have 30 years of friendship under our belt because anything you could think of that people could go through in a friendship, Ben and I have been through in positive and negative ways. But
Yes.
mainly positive because we're still besties.
We're still friends, yeah.
And we'll continue to be friends forever until we die.
Swag money.
But I was thinking the other day after I watched the episode with Nick, shout out Nick, who was not in frame the entire time, about how you and I first met because
You want to talk about the very first time we met?
literally my perspective. So
Also,
it's fun stories for different things.
before this, I'm going to explain this bit that you just called out right there. Nick Nolan, if you're watching this podcast, everyone who saw the last episode, you know that Nick was out of frame for half the episode. That is 100% his fault, and I chose to not even talk about it in the post-production at all. We set up the video to record on his phone, and I had it recording in 0.5 zoom so that I had ample room to crop in, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. And as he's going to hit record, he's like, oh, hey, we could actually record in 0.5 mode instead, or 0.7 or something stupid. And
0.7.
he completely messed it up. So good job, Nick. Funny, a great episode, but your face just wasn't in it.
Felt like you were interviewing a criminal. That's what I felt like. But it was fun. It was a fun episode.
But yeah.
But
So we're going back to freshman year.
your freshman year.
My freshman year, sorry. Yeah.
It was my junior year.
Which is crazy.
Which is insane. However, so my first memory of us meeting is not the same as yours for me and you when you
Okay.
asked me about the weather.
Okay. Oh, that's fun. That's a fun
That
parallel. Okay.
we'll touch on that in a second.
Okay.
So you've talked about the Zone on this already, haven't you?
The Zone.
Like the book, the magazine that you've
I don't
done
know if I've
for
talked about
3
I
years.
haven't talked about Zone at all, actually.
Okay. Well, here in the IMC program, IMC students produce a publication, magazine, athletics publication in the fall. You literally have 2.5 months, which is not a long time to create a publication because it's from August to homecoming. And basically students, completely student-led. And I would say, in my impression is that every IMC student has to go through it, but I don't know if
They
that's
don't.
true.
No, there's so many kids that don't ever have to touch that magazine.
But I did. I took the class my fall of my junior year. And this child, because he was a freshman, so I can say child, was not technically a part of the class.
I
But
was a sophomore when you're talking about right now.
Oh, well,
you
then
took it your
sophomore.
senior year.
no, it was my junior year, because I graduated the fall of my senior year. No, you're right. It was my senior
The
year.
magazine's made in the fall.
JK, run it back.
Yeah.
It was my senior year.
was a
So
sophomore.
you were a sophomore.
Yeah,
Anyway, you were technically not a part of my class.
that is correct.
But you were asked. I really didn't understand what the whole concept of it was, but you were asked to do the graphic design for it.
Yes.
So essentially, there's someone who does like design. There's an editor. Then we have our professor, of course, and then mostly the students write the stories that go into the book and help do the little page layouts and stuff like that. Not that they're very good from other people, but anyway, you can cut that out if you want to.
No, that's staying in. That's staying in. That's
Anyway.
hilarious.
I just remember, and this is funny because you and Nick kind of talked about it. I remember thinking you were older than me, and I was a senior, okay?
That's great.
Or at least my age, and I was like, how do I not know who you are? So I feel like I was one of the only people who probably didn't know who you were, like your name,
Okay.
or I'd never
That's
even seen you.
crazy. Okay, cool.
I didn't know if I've ever actually recounted this for you, so I thought it was fun to
I
recount it
don't
for the
know
first
this one.
time
I like this. This is
on
funny.
your podcast.
Okay, go.
So I just remember thinking you were older because Ben is obviously extremely talented, but I assumed that if you were being asked to work on it, like outside of class, you
Yeah.
would be older or my age, or I don't know. I just didn't, but it didn't bother me. I just didn't know who you were at the time.
Okay.
And I'm the kind of student who doesn't really care to speak up in class. Not that I'm shy, I just do not care enough to speak up sometimes.
Mhm.
But the class is very, very heavily relied on collaboration, so I kind of had to. And I remember specifically, this was kind of your first time like addressing the class as a whole, which is probably weird for
It
you.
was so weird. I had to
Because-
walk in there and be like,
yeah, and
hey,
you're talking
everyone.
to seniors and juniors,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and you're a sophomore, and I was like,
a lot of which I don't know, and I'm just like, hey, I'm doing this now. The explanation is that Lauren, the editor in chief, came to me and was like, hey, I need help coming up with a general design for the magazine because the people who had worked on it the previous year had left. And she had no idea what she was going to do for a design. So she asked me to do it. I had no idea how to do that. I think I looked at I came up with some kind of ugly hexagon theme and just ran with it. And I don't like that book anymore. But yeah, so I'm there. I address everyone. I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm Ben. I will be in charge of making this magazine look good. And this is how we're going to do it. And I had no idea how a timeline of what the timeline was. I wasn't in the class, which is really stupid because I didn't get any credit for it. But I spent,
that was a fishy thing too. I was like, you're not gonna get any credit for this. I was like,
look, I was dumb.
All right.
And I didn't understand how much of a commitment I was taking on when I said I would do
it
it.
was your learning experience for you actually getting credit for the next 2 years of you doing it.
I did take, now I've just this fall produced my 3rd edition of Zone. But yeah, I address everyone. I'm like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is the theme. I will give you all these assets. You go make this, which turned into, I'm going to give you this. You're going to play with it like children in a sandbox. And then I'm going to go in, wipe it clean, and redo it because they were all bad except for yours. And maybe like 2 or 3 others that I'm forgetting. But yours were actually very good layouts. So I do remember being like, I remember what you're probably gonna say. So I'll let you take it.
This is like the very first time we ever exchanged words. Still, I don't even think I remembered that you said your name was Ben.
Yes.
Like, because you had just said it. Remember you drew the hexagon shape and stuff like that on the board.
Oh
the
yeah, I
whiteboard.
didn't even bring stuff to show you
No,
guys. I
like
was just
you were drawing it out because, again, I can only imagine what it's like. If you knew the kind of students that were in that class, it was like you're probably talking to a brick wall.
a lot of people did not.
Like,
did not
people
care about
probably
that,
had glazed eyes and just didn't understand what you were saying. And I will say I did understand what you were saying. But then you had asked, I don't know if you remember, like, about a specific element that you couldn't quite figure out, about how to incorporate the Z at the bottom of the page. And you asked, like, hey, does anybody have any ideas? You know, try to be collaborative. And, like, crickets. And then I remember I had an idea, and I'm really bad at verbalizing ideas out loud. And I was explaining it to you. And I could tell you had no idea what I was saying because I was talking about the ribbon, like, style of it folding over itself.
Which went on for the next 2 years, yeah.
Yes. And then I was like, let me just draw it. So you threw me a piece of paper and I drew it and you're like, oh, okay, got it. And then that was it. From then, the in-between, don't really remember. I remember somehow we exchanged, like, contact info.
So so what happened is this is what I thought you were going to say, is that I remember me and Lauren got the first drafts of layouts back and I was like, oh, these are bad. But I remember yours weren't. So like the next day in class, I came up to you and go, hey, you're not bad at this. Or I said, like, you're the only one who's not bad at this stuff. Please help us.
Yes.
Because I knew at this point, me and Lauren would be creating all of the layouts for the book. And I knew we needed help. So I think that's most likely why, is because I needed help. I needed someone to do stuff that I had no time to do, because I was also terrible at scheduling at this point and shot the cover in the middle, like the later half of the, I don't want to call it semester, the time frame we had to make the magazine.
So, like, instead of shooting it in August or later August, it was, like, later September.
Yes. This was also during COVID, or, like, the first COVID semester. So we had until, like, late October to put this out. Or maybe even early November. We had more time than, like, you're supposed to have for Zone. So it ended up working out okay. But because we had no timeline. Because normally the magazine comes out every year at homecoming. This year we had no homecoming game, at least. So we had a little extra time. But I remember coming to you and being like, hey, you're good at this. Please help. And I think that's why we exchanged credentials.
Yeah, credentials.
That's
such an interesting word to use.
That's how I got your phone number.
Yeah, I just remember, and then I remember getting a phone call a few times about, like, hey, like, we need help.
You stayed up at like 2 or 3 a.m. on FaceTime.
One time I did, yeah.
Because you were in quarantine when the book was supposed to come out.
Yep, and then you guys delivered a magazine to my door, because when it was actually printed, I was still in quarantine. I was in quarantine like 4 different times that semester.
The joys of being in a sorority.
And I was in a sorority, so of course that happened. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny. But you have a different story about the first time that we met.
Oh yeah, it's even better. So the first time Summer and I actually met, the first time we ever spoke or exchanged words.
Maybe not name. We did not exchange names.
I didn't know who you were. So my freshman year, I'm walking to the caf here on campus, and it is August. August in this part of Alabama is brutal. Like, it is awful. It is in Livingston, especially. For some reason, it's super humid, super muggy.
It's disgusting.
It feels awful to walk around, and it's like high 90s probably. It might even be September at this point. I don't know. It's still like,
I think it was beginning of this. I feel like
it was very early in
August.
the semester. But I'm walking to the caf. I still don't know a ton of people around campus, and I see this girl walking in front of me, and I remembered her from orientation. And also, your backpack is decked out in like a million things, so it's kind of easy to tell.
I think I was wearing a uniform. Didn't you? Say
You actually may have been
uniform?
wearing your ambassador merch, and I was like, oh, you're definitely, what's
I'm an
going
ambassador on campus. I was an ambassador on campus. Like, I
Yes.
gave tours and stuff.
Yes. So I recognized you. I was like, okay, cool. This girl lives here. I was like, hey, is it always this bad here? Like, it's kind of the same in North Alabama, but I felt like it was worse. I feel like it's worse down here. But I was like, hey, is it always as bad here? And you were like, yeah, kind of. And that was it. We kept walking, went our separate ways. And then, yeah, you just happened to be in the class.
Yep.
2 years later.
Yep.
And then I remember bringing it up to you probably later in our friendship.
I don't think it was too late. I think you had said, hey, do you remember our first conversation about the weather? And I was like, what? And as an OL or ambassador, you meet a ton of students, and so I could briefly remember having a conversation like that, but I was like, I don't remember face, time, place. Like, I just don't really remember that, but I just thought that was really funny because the weather is the most, like, cliche thing to
It
talk
is the
about with someone.
most boring thing you can bring up, or most cheesy way to start a conversation. But I was just generally like, this sucks.
It did. It's my go-to when I don't feel like talking to somebody. Not that that was that conversation, because I didn't start that conversation.
Yeah.
But when someone comes to, like, my office and they're like, hey, Summer, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, it's going good. It's cold outside, huh?
I do that.
I do that all the time. And it's like, that's the most uninteresting thing you can say. But
There
for
are
some reason,
3 conversations you have with people in college. You have, like, people. It's either people you know kind of well or not. Whatever it is. If you know them pretty well, and you like, it's like, oh, hey, so when are you graduating? That's one conversation starter. 2 is, what are you studying again? What's your major? And then 3 is just, yeah, man, this weather sucks. Like, it's just not bad.
yeah, yep. And it kind of shifts a little bit when you go to work and you're in an office, especially when you don't know who's your boss yet. Not necessarily like I knew who my boss was, but who was above me, you know? I want to make a good impression. So my go-to is always the weather. I'm always like, yeah, I'm just trying to stay cool, or I'm trying to stay warm, or, oh, if it's raining, oh, I just hate the rain. I wish I was at home, blah, blah, you know, kind of thing. Or because I work for Alabama, it's always like, yeah, it was a good game this weekend. I feel like that's a dad thing to do, and I'm not.
The game this weekend?
Like, yeah, talking about the weather in the game.
It
like,
definitely is
it's
like
good
an
weather.
older man type thing. It's just something, I guess, it's just the most basic things that people like or know about. No one can not know about the weather.
I'm bad at having a customer service voice or having a customer service conversation. Like, I feel like I can, because
You have your, hi, this is Summer, or, oh my God, your tour voice. That's what I want to call it. Your tour voice.
It's probably what I sounded like when I first talked to you.
Probably. It's just like the automatic, like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. I gave tours like 2 days ago in here in my MC because someone wanted to come check out the studio. Oh, so yeah, we have all this cool stuff. People were, I brought my fraternity brothers in here to do headshots, and people were blown away by what the studio looks like. You guys don't know what the studio looks like, but like, there's a whole new setup right there. There's a green screen wall over there. There's an audio booth over there. A giant white wall right here. Like, this place is really cool.
I think it's really cool. Obviously, I got 2 degrees.
Yeah. And you stayed here for 5 years? Or did you do 4.5, I guess, technically?
It was 4.5, because I'm like, literally my timeline's the same as you.
Yeah.
So I graduated in December, 3.5 years, and then I started master's in January, so it'd be
Which
4.
is crazy because you didn't even start out as an IMC major.
I did not. I changed my major and I graduated early.
Yeah.
I'm also, so that Nick and you talked about like academics and being like academically inclined.
Yeah, this girl.
Very, very similar.
Similar? I think you're the girl that we talked about.
I think I'm the girl that you talked about
that needs
the
the
98.
100%,
Yeah. It's not like mentally healthy. I use it to judge the kind of person I am, or I used to. I'm not in school anymore,
Let's say,
so
what
I
do you
don't
do
do
now?
that.
Just like, oh, I got a bonus, yay.
No, well, I did get a bonus, but I guess it's really hard. So this is probably a little off topic, but I'll get back on topic. It's really hard to work in social media because I judge my success based on how it does on the platform, which isn't necessarily how my bosses view it. So I work for some people who don't really necessarily understand analytics and stuff like that. So if I make a TikTok, which takes hours to do for our type of content, and it doesn't perform well, it's not necessarily, it doesn't matter to them, it doesn't perform well as long as the content got out there. But to me, I'm like, okay, I suck because it didn't get 1 million likes or 1,000 views, or, well, it gets 1,000 views, but like things like that. But that's how I measure my success. But I'm learning to not do that.
It's kind of hard though with what we're both going to go into. It's completely anything that's dealing with like hard analytics you can see, especially with any kind of marketing.
For
advertising.
You're doing it for people you don't even know. That it's like impossible to be able to like judge people based on a number. And so like if you design logos or whatever, it's basically how other people perceive them and how successful they are. Like, how does it help boost their numbers in terms of product purchasing, or does it help boost our numbers in terms of people following us? And it's just like, does that really determine whether I'm good at my job, or does that determine how social media is flowing at the time, or how the market's flowing at the time, or how so. Anyway, that's a little deep of a conversation.
No, I like it because it is kind of our jobs, or your job and what probably I'll end up working into. I guess I work in social media too. I don't know why I'm acting like I don't. Mine isn't necessarily for the analytics. Ours is more for a lot of companies need a presence and don't have a presence or don't know how to present themselves online, and we allow them to do that. And it's not
Which
always
is very, very common.
yeah.
Even though people think we live in a digital age, there are many people who don't understand it.
I think as our generation grows up and people like entrepreneurs that are our age now, at least, start making their business, or people who grew up with social media realize that this is it's completely changed the game for marketing yourself or marketing a business, that is almost completely necessary. My mom's business has blown up on Facebook. And she just has, oh goodness, my mom's Facebook, it's completely unorthodox, what she posts. And I'm pretty sure in some ways it's not probably legal.
Yeah.
Some of the images she uses, hypothetically, everything my mom does is perfectly legal.
Don't go look.
Yeah.
Marketing lawyers.
But no, she's finally getting into it and finally looking at the analytics and realizing, oh my God, how many impressions she can get off that. And it completely drives her sales based on because her lunches are completely daily lunches and they're always different. Mine is like one or two that are always going to be the same. But she found out how to do that just by herself. And then sometimes I have to go in there and be like, how do I change the username on the Facebook? And I'm like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. But no, it's really hard when we work in a field that is success is completely defined by how people are feeling that day. It's not like I guess that's anything to do with like people or communications, even kind of sales for the most part. But like we're not in a hard set thing where we can make a solution, like any kind of engineering or any kind of hands-on job where like this is the problem, I'm gonna fix it and that's it.
Yeah.
I can control all you can control the variables, but ours is not the same thing. We can't control if the algorithm picks up a TikTok.
Yeah, and the thing is, it changes every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm I can't really speak on like other fields and how like maybe freaking engineering changes every so often as well, but I feel like it's like the beauty and also curse in our field is that it's always changing, so it's really hard to get bored because there's always more you can learn, there's always more that you can like achieve and figure out. Ooh, there's a bug that came to visit. Hello.
What's up?
But then it's also like you can never catch up. Like you can never be like, oh, I figured out Instagram, or I've figured out what works in this industry for design. Like you can't ever really say you figured it out, because once you do, it changes.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing because you don't get bored, but it's a bad thing because you're like, okay, well, let me start over.
And I wonder if it's like, because there are people, like the algorithm is written by people. There are people who know the secrets, and
people don't know what they want.
No, but you're writing something to determine to figure out what people want, and it's a mess. I can't imagine. And like it is definitely, I wouldn't say it's easier. I would say it's physically probably easier or mentally taxing wise an easier field than engineering. I would hate engineering or anything that has to do with like actual math or stuff. But there is challenges to what we do too, and it's just trying to understand people, which I wish was easy as solving a math problem.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say something and I forgot.
It's cool.
There it goes.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out with even marketing the show, because obviously the target audience is not like a ton of people. I'm not like trying to get this to blow up, but I still realize that there are ways to perfectly market the show. Like even just editing TikToks. Like you were asking me earlier, did I put a TikTok up of the other one? And it's kind of annoying. I kind of want to. I wish this show would blow up so I could make some money on it and pay someone to do that part. Because what's it called? Captioning. Captioning TikTok sucks. They're not fun. It's going through like every 2 seconds and typing out what I said. And with me, I don't know what I say sometimes, so it's really annoying.
You could do auto captions though.
Not
and then edit the auto captions. Are you doing it in like Premiere?
Yeah, no, I'm doing it in Resolve.
Oh.
But I could probably still do it. They probably have some system now that I'm not learning about. But like you need it to, like you almost need it to be eye catchy, because
I think you need it, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with something like this, like it would be different if this was a show that had multiple camera angles, so I could be like, when I'm talking, there's a camera here getting me, and when you're talking, there's here, and there's a wide shot, but I only have a wide shot, so there's not like I can't just stick. I died.
Death.
I can't just stick a static shot of us on TikTok and expect people to watch it for more than 2 seconds when you have all the content in the world.
Yeah. Yep. And you're always competing with other people, but It's an interesting industry, but I couldn't imagine myself in any other one, so it's a good thing.
And how did you what was your because you did do grad school. That's one thing I have no intention on doing. Was it like what was the reasoning behind that? Why did you feel like you needed to do grad school? Was it kind of a buffer area? What was your
So I mentioned earlier, I graduated in December of 2020.
Okay.
So COVID year.
Yes.
And I hate saying, oh, I couldn't get a job because of COVID, because it's true in a way, but for the people who know me, especially you, it was also not necessarily entirely true based on my circumstances at the time as to why I didn't leave.
True.
That's a little mystery for the people who don't know. But no, I did apply to some jobs. I didn't apply to as many as I should have. But any job that I did apply to, I got calls and emails back saying they can't hire people till X month, or they're not hiring people because of COVID, or they can only hire me for X amount of hours. It wasn't a full-time job, and I just couldn't sustain myself without having some sort of money in my pocket. And I had always been interested in grad school because, as I mentioned earlier, I am academically inclined and school does come easy. So it kind of seemed like, okay, this is just another thing I can do, which cost me money, but whatever. But then Kirsten, who's actually on this podcast, Kirsten and Libba, who's someone he works with in admissions, offered me a graduate assistant position if I was interested in going to grad school to do their marketing and social media for the admissions office. And in my head, that kind of sealed the deal. Like, okay, this is a sign that, like, I need to stay and
yada yada
yada yada. Need to stay and do this job and get my master's that will pay me more money in the end. Like, it'll be worth it. I can't really find anywhere. This will help because at the time I was in a relationship that determined where I would be. So I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And that is not the case anymore. But yeah, I am glad I stayed, even though it was a very mentally taxing year for me. But if I didn't stay, our friend group wouldn't have happened. So.
That is true. It did all kind of just fall into, like, it got a very lucky. We had a lucky, like, 4-5 months that we all just happened to be here. And we're still kicking it now, just with a lot more gas in between.
And I will say, since you do talk about mental health on here, whoa, train of thought lost. Since you do talk about mental health on here, so 2021, when I was doing my grad school year, was a very mentally taxing year for me. Lots of things happened to me. I was homeless at one point, blah, blah, blah. I was broke. But I came out on top because I'm here with a full-time job and killing it. But the only reason I made it out of that year is because of our friendship and ours and Nick's friendship and Ethan and Caleb and eventually later in the year, Grayson, my current boyfriend. So I'm grateful that I stayed and suffered through that to make the best friends ever. Yeah. And it's worth it. And kind of goes into the idea of I had a huge friend group when I graduated my undergrad who those friends either I would consider turn their back on me or are no longer in my life. So it doesn't necessarily matter who's here now for you. It's more so who's there like later after the point.
Yeah. And I think there's a period where, there's a period, I'm still in it now. And I think my outlook on all of it has changed completely since I started the podcast. Because the biggest deal for me has always just been this is the big social change. I don't really care that much about work. I'm tired. I've been tired of school for a while and tired of classes. Unlike you, I don't care about I care about getting decent academics or doing well, but like I don't find any gratification of doing well at this point. I'm just like, this is just taxing on me to still do it. Something I'm not passionate about. I've always been that kind of I don't care. I don't need to do it. But no, this is a major social change for me. I'm going back home. Hey, for everyone watching from the beginning, I have now a schedule for my next 6 months, basically. Have I told you what it is?
Kind of. You kind of told me the rough plan and then the rougher plan and then now the newer plan.
So, fun fact, Summer's boyfriend, Fish, Grayson, whatever we want to call him, he's moving into my apartment to move in with Caleb, my current roommate. Shout out Caleb for helping me set up everything.
He says he never gets any shout outs.
So I'm giving you a shout out again, even though it's like a third shout out.
Caleb Smith. Caleb James Smith.
Okay, I don't know if that was necessary, but okay.
You can cut that out if you want to.
No, we're probably not. But Caleb's moving out. or no, Caleb's. I'm moving out most likely on the 21st of December. I will go home for about 6 weeks to live with a friend, and then I will be leaving for France. Probably the 15th of February. I haven't actually booked my schedule yet or booked my flight yet, but that's the general idea. I've also gotten. I had a job, but I've officially secured my job for the next 6 months, which is awesome. I'm just not. I'm gonna miss you guys, and it sucks. I mean, we've been apart for a while now, but it just feels like coming home from Thanksgiving was rough. I had a big talk with my mom about it because I was just like, this is
like going to Eva or coming back to Livingston.
Coming back to Livingston. I talked to my mom before I left Eva, but
maybe I shouldn't have said Eva, but
I don't care.
Okay.
If someone looks up Eva, good for them.
Okay.
Most people that watch this podcast, the audience is people who know me, so it doesn't matter. But I realized that this was my last time leaving home. Probably that's it. This is my last time leaving home, where this is where I live with my parents. And I haven't really lived there for the past 4 years, ex-quarantine. But it's just a lot, I guess. It's like a big wave of being like realization, like, oh, this is it. Like realizing it now. This is a week.
Yeah.
This is one more week.
Yeah, it is. It's such an interesting time because I'm very freshly out of college. I know it's been 2 years since my undergrad, but still, like, I haven't even been at my full-time job for a year yet.
Yeah.
But especially for you, I feel like at this point in our life, when you're 22, your life has already been sectioned off into chapters that you didn't create for yourself. So, like, middle school was a chapter, high school was a chapter, college was just another chapter. And college is really the first time where you're figuring out, okay, well, this is how I can live my life. But after that, there's no other chapter. It's just the rest of your life. A very extremely long, like a whole other book. So, like, you're not going through high school where you're like, oh, I'm just with my high school friends and I'm going to 8 to 3 and, like, I'm participating in sports and doing theater and all that crap. And then I go to college and I'm learning how to be an adult and I'm partying. I turn 21 and, like, you're figuring out, oh, I have to pay bills. I have to get a job, blah, blah, blah. But then you're like, wait a minute. Now I have to do that for the rest of my life. And it's like, okay, well, I remember that being extremely overwhelming for me. And I'm in it, and it still can be overwhelming. But, like, just that time period, I can understand. It's very interesting because you don't want to do school anymore. But you also, I see it in terms of, like, all the older adults that I know. I'm like, okay, well, they've been at their job for, like, 20 years. Or they've owned a restaurant for my entire life or whatever it is. And then I'm like, but do I want to do one thing for my entire life? Like, I don't have another chapter. So I'm like, how long do I stay at this job? And I love my job. For if anybody who I work with is watching this, I love my job. But, like, I'm already like, okay, what's next? Where can I go next? What can I do next? Because I want to keep going up the ladder, but I'm only 23, about to turn 24, and it's just not how life works.
Yeah, and I mean, there are weird circumstances that could lead to that. I definitely don't know what mine is. I think this is probably the chapter you enter. I think from now until I have kids, probably, this is my life. I think I've always thought, kind of in the past few years, that the moment you have kids, your life's no longer about you. Your life is about them and making sure they grow up to be good people, I guess, until they're leaving, whatever. But I feel like this is a chapter that's just mine. And I've spoken about kind of what I want to do with it. I'm excited to just live a little bit and not have any kind of restraints on me, especially with such a freeing job I have right now. And I definitely don't want to be tied down to something either and be like, oh, I'm doing this for the next X years. It's just, I don't know. I think there's beauty in the unknown.
This side of life is 10 times better, I will say.
Despite all the fear I may have of it, about leaving and changing and all this stuff. Those of you who have done it, you, Nick, and even Caleb, for not so much leaving, but just getting through that part of your life. Yeah, you all seem so much happier, and that makes me excited. That's where all my excitement comes from, is seeing you guys and being jealous of you guys and the lifestyles you live, so much that you just have this freedom to. It's your life. You're not tied down because you have a project due at 6. Granted, you have work, and all of you have more restricting jobs than I will have, but I do feel very confident because of all of you, and very excited. I've been so excited.
And you should be. It is exciting. I think you've kind of been in the workforce for a while. Like, not like fully, but you've been doing work outside of IMC,
money.
and you've been paid.
I got the good benefit of money, but granted, when you're a student worker, they can pay you less.
Yeah, they can pay you dirt. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am also excited for money. I am very excited for money.
Yeah.
To have an apartment sounds cool, all that kind of stuff. And shout out Caleb for still not explaining how rent works. I know how rent works, dog. I don't know how rent works.
What do you mean you don't know how rent works? Like, what do you mean?
Why? I don't know. Like, Caleb just explained to me the other day that I'm going to pay for my December rent at the beginning of the month, but then he'll have to charge me in January for my utilities for December. And it's just like, I'm trying to figure out when I'm paying for what.
So, like, Nick kind of mentioned, or he touched on this in the last episode, that this part, like the part of life that I'm in, that you're about to be in, like, work kind of becomes your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. Like, you work more than you're at home. I mean, for me, I work 8 to 5 and 8 to 4, whatever. And a lot of the times, because I cover, like, events on the weekends, like football games, I'm working on the weekends too, or like if I'm covering graduation and stuff, and then all of a sudden I realize, okay, well, I only have Sunday, and then I have to go to work at 8 a.m. again. It does kind of seem overwhelming, but you kind of realize that everything you worked for the past 22 years, you're actually getting paid real money for it, and you're getting like actual. It is beneficial to get actual recognition for your work from places that are hiring you and paying you and telling you do a good job at this and you do a good job at that, and it makes you excited for what else you can accomplish. You're like, oh my god, okay, well, I'm a social media specialist, what can we do next? Like, if you're going into graphic design, okay, well, I'm a graphic design for this marketing firm or whatever, advertising firm, I think it's the same thing. Well, what can I do next? Where do I want to go next? What kind of companies do I want to work for? What kind of things do I want to do? And it is very fun, I think. I also think it's all an illusion.
I'm excited. I really am. I think I'm getting out of the fear stage of it. I say that. I'm still having moments where I'm like, oh, this is wild that all this is going on.
And but you still will. If you don't, that's scary.
True. I think, yeah, the fact that I'm preparing to miss it and means it was good.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I don't know. This next week's going to be probably go by like that. And I'm just going to be, oh, hey, it's happening. I feel like that's how high school was. High school was very much, oh, it's last week. Okay, it's over. Boom. And I'm preparing for that. I still got a lot of stuff to do before now, and even Monday, I have so much stuff to do. I don't even know if this episode will be out on Sunday or Monday. We'll see. But I think we are going to wrap it up here, because I think we've been going for an hour, and we tried to go for 30, which I knew wasn't going to happen because we like to talk, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing my graduation pictures.
I forgot that I did that. Yeah, that's right.
It has been a long day.
It has been a long day.
Yes. But thank you again. Like I said, people like you, people like that, obviously, you seem so much better since you left. And it sucks. I did hate for you to leave, just because it signaled that part of our life was over. But you seem so much happier. You seem so proud of yourself. And I'm excited to be able and be in your shoes, basically, and be able to feel that way, and also make some money. Really excited. But yeah.
Benefits.
Yeah, insurance. Yeah.
Yeah, insurance. I can go to the doctor.
Yay.
I didn't have insurance for a while too. That's why that's significant.
Yes, she's not just excited because she now has Blue Cross instead of Geico.
Yep.
She just you got.
No, those aren't even.
Look.
I have Geico for car insurance. Blue Cross is my health insurance. I go to the doctor with Blue Cross.
It shows how much I know about stuff. Okay.
It's fine. I didn't know either, but I'm fine.
We're gonna
They just give it to you. They don't have to know about it. I just go to the doctor and hand them something, and they're like, "Okay,
we're fine. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
I'll figure it out."
I think it's more fun to just figure it out along the way.
That's how I live my life.
That's impressive for me to say. I'm a huge planner.
It is. You're not as spontaneous when it comes to real stuff that matters.
Yeah.
But I am. So we're good opposites. I think we're good opposites.
Well, we're friends, besties, for the resties.
Swag money. I don't know what that means. I've said swag money twice now, and it doesn't mean anything.
Grayson used to say it to Fish, whatever. Used to say it to aggravate me because I hate that phrase. Swag money. I hate it.
Well,
maybe you guys used to say it because I feel like you've said it. Sorry, that's not. Anyway.
Well, I hope you're all doing swag money today on
Swag
this.
Queen.
Whenever you're watching this, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for coming on. And that's it. That's a wrap, folks. We got 1 week. I have no idea how many more episodes will come out. Probably 2, maybe 3. We'll see how many times I can record next week. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you
Wait.
next time. What?
I want to plug.
What do you want to plug? What do you got to plug?
I have a beautiful dog, and his name is R2. And R2, if you're watching, which you only can watch if I watch this on my TV at home, which would be weird if I was watching myself, but I guess I could do that. I love you. And then we've already talked about Grayson. Fish.
Word. All right. Well, stay swag money. We'll see you next time. I'll see you next time. I don't know why I always do that, but I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Keep waving. It's funnier if you keep waving.